Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of High Volts RC. In this episode we got a MaxStone rock crawler back up on the bench. We're going to do some real budget upgrades to improve its performance. So stay tuned, this is going to be a good one. Okay guys, so there's three parts of today's upgrades video, and this is going to be a small series where we're going to keep going with this little rock crawler and make it as best as it can be. So, three parts today. First of all, we're going to address the battery connection. Secondly, we're going to try to give it some more grip out of these stock tires. And third, we're going to give it some more ground clearance. Okay, so the first thing on our upgrade list is the battery connections. This thing was horrible. If you saw my review, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It had the cheap universal style plug-ins, and so we're going to have to go ahead and convert it over to a Dean's connector. Now, I've actually already done that. I did it the other day because it was just driving me crazy. I didn't have the camera going or anything, but I went ahead and did that. Here's a short clip of me actually soldering up a set of batteries, or a battery pack or whatever, a nickel metal hydride battery pack. I did the terminal ends on it. There's all kinds of videos out there, guys, on how to solder wires. I'm by no means an expert, kind of just getting familiar with it myself. The biggest tip that I've heard so far is to pre-solder the wires. Get the wire hot first, put some solder on there, let it melt into the wire. Do the same thing with your terminal connector on your Dean's connector, whichever one you're using. So they both have solder on them before you then get them hot again and melt the two together. Also, definitely helps to have some little tools. I'm using some tweezers here to help me hold the wire as it definitely gets hot. The little Dean's connector will get hot too, but it's kind of well insulated and gives you a little bit more time to work with. So you can see here is our ESC, and we've already got the Dean's connector hooked up to it. It has been performing flawlessly as a Dean's connector should. Super easy, plug it straight in and you're good to go. Definitely by far my favorite upgrade because it's one that makes it more convenient to run. Those other style plugs were just a pain in the butt. Every time it would take a tumble, they would lose connection, you'd have to jiggle them. So this is just rock solid, it's awesome. It's definitely the connector I'm going to be using on the rest of my vehicles from here on out. Okay guys, so part 2 of our upgrade video. We're going to get some more traction out of these stock tires. What we're actually going to do is remove every other set of tread lugs on these tires to give them a much more aggressive lug pattern. Hopefully they'll bite in a little bit better. I've seen a couple guys have done this already and they're pretty happy with it, so we're going to go ahead and do that too and get a little bit more grip. So let me go ahead and get you zoomed in here and we'll show you how we're going to do it. So here's how we're going to get some more traction out of these stock tires. As I said before, we're going to be removing some of these lugs to give it a more aggressive tread pattern. Now you can see here that starting off on the edges, one of them is short, one of them is tall, one of them is short, one of them is tall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this short one. I'm going to remove this short lug and remove the one right next to it. Because if you keep going, you see on the other side is the tall lug. So they actually alternate. Tall, short, and they alternate from other sides, short to tall, tall to short. So I'm going to be removing this section and removing this section, leaving the tall lug and the one right next to it. I've already started here on this tire to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. You can see I've removed it halfway over, and then that one continues. I removed this one halfway over, and then that one continues. So we're going to continue going on it. What I'm using is just a little set of, these are actually, I think, like nose hair trimming scissors. They're actually good. They got a little bit of an angle to them, so I'm not going to cut into the tire where I don't want to cut. Of course, your body, if you have a set of body trimming scissors, those will work great too. So what I did is I just pinched it a little bit, got my scissors in there, just started cutting them. Start removing lugs. Just be careful, make sure you're cutting the right one, of course. And like I said, I'm just going to cut the short lug on the edge and the one right next to it. That's going to give me a real nice alternating tread pattern in here. Here's our completed tire. We've removed all the lugs from it. Here's all the whole big pile of rubber that came off of it, and here's the stock one sitting right next to it. You can see here it's got a much more aggressive tread pattern. I think this is going to be great. Probably took me a half an hour to cut all these out. I definitely don't recommend the little nose hair trimming scissors because they're very hard on your fingers. So if you get a set of body cutting scissors, is definitely the way to go. I don't have a set, that's why I was using these. But anyway, it worked out great. I like it. I'm really happy with it. I think that's going to be great. Okay, so part 3 of our video, we are going to give this thing some more ground clearance, and we're going to do that simply by removing these stock front bumpers and then getting rid of the little bungs where the screws go into them off of the bottom of the front and rear end housing. They stick down half an inch or so, and these are absolutely horrible. This is one thing I've definitely been wanting to do. So that's our third step. Let's go ahead and get started on that. These bumpers are absolutely horrible. They push around the mud and they get stuck on the rocks when you're going over them. And also here in the back, there's a big hard spot, big flat spot in the back that gets hung up on everything. So we're going to remove these bumpers from front and rear, and then we're going to get rid of the little mounting tabs that are off the rear ends. So just to start that, there's 3 screws on the bottom. We're going to remove those and then get our little Dremel out and take care of the rest. Alright, now that the bumper's removed, we can see we have 3 little mounting tabs here. We're going to go ahead and get our Dremel out, and I'm just going to buzz those down, make them flat, smoothing this back one out so it doesn't get hung up on anything. Okay, you got a little bit better view of the 3 tabs we're going to be removing off this front end now. I got my little Dremel out, I got the carbide cutter bit on it there, and we're just going to zing these things off. Just as easy as that. That's going to hang up on a lot less stuff. So just to make sure you don't go too deep into it to actually cause a hole in your housing of your front or rear end is the only thing you really have to worry about. That looks pretty good. You can clean it up a little bit if you want it to look a little better. And there's our 3 tabs removed. Now I did a quick job. It looks absolutely horrible. Take your time a little bit. You can make it look a lot nicer than what I've just done. Okay, I've got everything removed from the bottom side of the front and rear ends now, and after I've done it I realized that there was casting holes, I guess from the casting of the plastic at the bottom of each one of these. So there's actually now 3 small holes. There's a slot right here in the front you can see that we are going to need to patch up. Now you can use a bunch of different stuff for this. Like I said before, you could use 2-part epoxy, JB Weld. What I have is my handy dandy ultra black sealant. Here it is, my ultra black. This is what I'm going to use. Take a little bit of this. It's already roughed up and nice and clean because I just got done grinding it. Try not to touch it or get it greasy in any way. A little dab here on your fingertip. Make sure you smooth it out. If you leave any hard edges, stuff could get underneath it. Anytime you're using anything like this, silicone, gasket sealer, anything, make sure you don't have any hard edges. So that'll be repaired. Go ahead and let that dry for a day before you get it wet or anything, and you should have no trouble with that at all. It should be a good little repair. So here's our MaxStone all put back together. We did our 3 upgrades today. I think it's going to significantly improve the performance of this vehicle. I can't wait to get it out there, hit some rocks with it, get it back in our mud pit, and see how it's going to do now. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment down below. Let us know how we're doing. Subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for more High Volts RC.